Welcome back. Today's video is a fun one. I'm going to be doing my top 3 products in each category. Some of them I don't have 3 products, but we're just going to roll with it. We're going to start with primers. I used to not be like really into primers because I was like, oh, if I just use really good skincare, I won't need one. But as I've gotten older, my skin is getting drier and a primer is just really necessary. One of the primers that I go to if I'm wanting to like minimize pores is actually this Unseen sunscreen. It's really great because you're getting your SPF, which is like vital, but it also does a really great job of filling in your pores so you get a really seamless makeup application. I know everybody and their mother has talked about the Unseen sunscreen, and that's for good reason because it's great. My second favorite primer isn't exactly a primer, it is an SPF. It is the RMS Supernatural Radiance Serum. I have this in the shade Light Aura. This isn't really meant to be used as a primer, it's meant to be an SPF, but it just looks so great on my skin and it lays well with makeup that I use it as a primer. It has a really nice glowy finish. Honestly, I like to wear this some days just by itself. Like I won't wear anything because it just gives my skin such a nice, beautiful glow. My number one favorite product is something that was introduced to me by watching Amanda Z, and you probably know what it is, but it is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I just have like a little guy right now. It is just so super hydrating. Like my skin just looks amazing. You will not see a single dry patch on your skin if you use this. Now, if you have oily skin, you're probably not going to like this because it's going to be like way too heavy for you. But if you have like dehydrated skin, combination skin, dry skin, you'll definitely really like this. And you can also just like apply it where you need it, and that works well as well. My number 3 foundation is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. I have it in the shade 2N. This is just a little sample guy. It does have SPF 30 in it, even though I will pair this with another SPF so I get all the protection. I really like this because it gives an okay amount of coverage. You're not going to get too much coverage from this, but it will cover my redness. I love that I can use a sponge, I can use my fingers, I can use a brush, and this is just going to look really great. This is going to make your skin look pretty dewy, so if you're not into that, this wouldn't be for you. But I love a dewy finish, and so this is my number 3. My second favorite foundation is MAC Face and Body Foundation. I have this. I have no idea what shade this is. This is actually an old bottle. I need to get a new one. I love this because it is buildable. Again, you're not going to get full coverage with this, you're not going to get full coverage from any product that I use. This is very radiant. So again, if you're like a matte person or even a satin person, you probably wouldn't like this unless you set it. Again, I really love that I can use my fingers with this product because the fingers kind of add some warmth to the formula, which makes it apply really nicely, and it just like melts into your skin and you really have like a second skin finish. People aren't talking about MAC Face and Body anymore because it's been around for 100 years. But you should really check it out. I think if you are into like the light coverage, you're gonna love it. My number 1 foundation, and it isn't even really a foundation, is the Tower 28 Sunny Days Broad Spectrum Tinted Sunscreen. I have this in the shade Melrose. I am wearing this right now. If I'm putting on makeup, I'm generally wearing this. It is just really nice and sheer. It gives a little bit of color. Wakes me up, makes me not look like I'm dead. It's just really, really easy. While my top 3 foundations all have a pretty light coverage, like light to sheer. I do have concealers that I like that are in a variety of coverage levels. The first one I want to talk about is the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. This is just like a little cute guy of it. I don't use this level of coverage very often, so I don't need a full size. I have it in the shade Silk, which right now is looking a little bit yellow. So I might need to try and see if I can get another shade that a little bit matches my skin tone better. But this is the concealer that I reach for when I have not slept in 3 days and I have the darkest of the dark circles, or if I'm going somewhere where I know I'm going to be photographed, I will use this concealer as well. On the day-to-day, I just don't need this amount of coverage, but I like to have a higher coverage concealer in my arsenal. My second most used concealer is like one of the trendy concealers this year, and it is the Givenchy Prism Libre concealer. I have this in the shade N120, and I think it might be a little bit too light. This formula is great. It's really, really nice. Again, this is not going to give you full coverage. Like if you look like a zombie, this isn't going to cut it, but for every day, it's really, really nice. My number one concealer is going to be very surprising because the brand is very polarizing. You either love this brand and its aesthetic, or it's not for you. And that is the Jones Road The Face Pencil. I have it in the shade 5. I was a little bit nervous about what shade to pick just because it's like an online only brand, but this works perfect. I like to use it under my eyes, around my nose, on my forehead, you know, just around. It comes in lots of different colors. This would be perfect. Like if you are like a makeup artist and you really knew how to use color to enhance people's features, but it's also great for someone who's like into no fuss makeup. Now you might be like, oh my goodness, is that not like really dry? It's a pencil. But it really isn't. It is quite soft and it is easily blendable. And so for that reason, it is my number one concealer. I'm going to be completely honest. I have not been a blush girl, which I know is kind of like sacrilegious because everyone's like blush, 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 right? Like it has just been popping off. But I've definitely kind of grown to appreciate it, especially on days where I'm wearing a foundation with just a little bit more coverage, then I need to put some of that color back into my face. So let's just quit the yakking. My number 3 blush is from Kjaer Weis. It is so pretty. This formula is just really, really lovely. I love that Kjaer Weis knows how to make very nuanced blush colors. Honestly, I don't remember the name of this color. I got a PR package from them and this was the blush that they sent me. So I really, really enjoy it. I will have to say, because Kjaer Weis is a natural brand, if you're one of those people that has 20,000 blushes and you're not going to use this before it gets dry, then don't buy it. But if you're like me and you only have like 4 blushes and you're going to use this a lot, then I really suggest this formula. It's really, really pretty. So here is a little swatchy of the Kjaer Weis blush. See, looking at the color, it's just so beautiful. And they have so many like really beautiful, unique colors when you look at their website. Not too long ago, I did a video where I tried a bunch of MAC makeup, kind of to try to bring MAC back to our minds. And I have this Glow Play blush in the shade Blush Please. I love this formula. I don't know if you can tell, but it's squishy. It's bouncy. It's lovely, to be honest. I'm going to give you a swatch of this. So right next to the Kjaer Weis is the MAC Blush Please. So you can kind of get an idea of this color. It's just very, very natural. One of those colors that goes with everything. If you know me in real life and you've asked me like what blush you should buy, I always recommend this one from Merit. I personally own this in 3 shades. My favorite is the shade Cheeky. I really love this blush because you cannot overdo it. Like, you are not going to look like a clown. It's going to look just super, super natural. Now, if you're the kind of person who's like, you know, like Khaki from Khaki Loves Beauty, and you're like, want your face to look like you rolled in a pile of blush, then this is probably not for you. So this is the shade Cheeky. So as you can see, I've got a pretty good variety of blush colors in my top 3. Again, I highly, highly recommend the Merit, especially if you're a no makeup person and you want something that's very natural. It's probably very obvious at this point that I am very, very minimalist in my makeup. I want a very, very natural look. With that being said, bronzer just isn't typically part of my everyday routine. I try to look like I'm not wearing makeup, and because I'm so pale, bronzer has a tendency to look really obvious. That being said, I do have bronzers for those days where I'm wearing more full coverage makeup, like if I have events or photos or something like that. My number 3 bronzer is a cult classic, and if you don't have it in your collection, I don't know what you're doing. And that is NARS. Such a classic bronzer, and the color is really good for those that have, you know, not the darkest skin. The next 2 bronzers I use pretty equally, so they're like both tied for first. The first one is the Merit bronzing stick. I have it in the shade Quince. What I like about this is, like all Merit products, you cannot overdo it with this bronzer. You put it on and it just looks super, super natural. Now, if you want to look like a bronzed goddess, probably not the bronzer for you. I'm going to give you a little swatch so you can see it in comparison to the NARS. Okay. It's a pretty heavy swatch right here. This is the shade Quince from Merit, and then this is the NARS Laguna. The third bronzer that I use is the Milk Makeup Bionic Bronzer. I have it in the shade Time Traveler. I really love this. The one thing is you really need to use a brush with it because it comes out like a kind of like a paint tube. I'll show you the swatch. I like that it's very watercolor-esque. So you can make it extremely, extremely sheer, which makes it look a little bit more natural. Now, one thing I have to say about this is if you have a ton of bronzers and you're not going to use it during its shelf life, then I wouldn't suggest picking this up. But again, if you're one of those people like me who has like just a couple of bronzers, then I really suggest this formula. If there's one thing you need to know about me, it is that I absolutely love highlighter. I want to look like I have been beamed down from the heavens. I love it. I know it's not as popular, but it's just like one of my favorite products. And so I had a really hard time only picking 3. So I'm not going to rank these because all of these are absolute perfection. But we are going to start with the powder highlighter first. And it is from Kjaer Weis. Do not sleep on Kjaer Weis. Kjaer Weis is a lovely, lovely brand. This is what it looks like in the pan. I know it looks super unassuming, but it is absolutely gorgeous on the face. I have it swatched right here. It is just really, really natural. It's just a very beautiful color. You're going to get that glow that you want, but you're not going to look like you put glitter on your face, which is like no one wants to look, well, sometimes you want to look like you put glitter on your face, but that's not what I'm going for the day to day. But this is just an absolutely beautiful powder highlight, and I just highly, highly suggest it. I'll have the exact shade linked in the description box. Since the cases are refillable, they don't have the names on them. The next highlighter we're going to talk about is a really bougie highlighter, and it's not the one that people usually talk about from this brand, but it is the stick highlighter from Westman Atelier. I have it in the shade Lit. Now, I don't know if you can tell how iridescent that looks. It's not like a lot of highlighters like this that just look clear. Of course, I have to mention the Merit Highlighting Balm. I have it in the shade Kava. I also have it in the shade Bounce, but Kava is my absolute favorite. Here, I'll show you what that stick looks like. And here is the swatch of Kava from Merit. So you can see we have a pretty good variety of highlighters. This one definitely has more of like that champagne color. We got this one that's a little bit more pinky, and then this one that's just like very natural looking. We're going to move on to powders. Now, I don't particularly love powders because I want to keep that really dewy, juicy look to my skin. It's just not something that I prefer. However, I have two powders here and they serve two very different functions. So the first one we have is this e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. This is very, very glowy. I don't really want to open this because it's going to make a giant mess. This is super glowy. I like to use this if I have my skin looking a little too flat, a little too matte. I will use this. This is particularly great with one of those like flat sponges, like underneath the eyes to add some brightness. That's what I reach for this for. However, more often than not, I have overdoed myself. Like I am like, oh man, we got to bring this down just a notch, right? And so that is when I reach for the Cloud Set from Kosas. I have it in the shade Breezy. This is just like a little cute size. I don't know if you can get it in this size anymore. I don't use a ton of powder, so this size is perfect for me. This is probably hands down my favorite product from Kosas, though that's not saying much because I'm not their biggest fan. But this powder is so great because it helps cut down any kind of like greasy looking, but it still leaves some kind of glow. It's an absolute magic maker. I don't understand how they do it. It's like if you're looking for one powder, the one powder to rule them all, I'm gonna say it's this Kosas powder. It's great, awesome, wonderful, perfection, worth the full price. Before we jump into setting sprays, I just want to say that when it comes to makeup, I'm not wearing it for very long. I don't need it on my face for 17 hours. Usually I'm wearing it for my video, my Zoom call, whatever photos I'm going to take or whatever event, and then I come home and I wash my face. Before we jump into setting sprays, I just want to put like a little disclaimer here. I am not the kind of person that needs my makeup to last 17 hours. I'm the kind of person that puts my makeup on, I do the thing that I am going to do, whether that's film a video, do a photo shoot, or go to whatever event, and then I come home and I wash my makeup off. So just know that when we talk about these setting sprays. If I do want my makeup to last a little bit longer, maybe I'm on a date night or someplace that's hot, I reach for the Milk Hydro Grip Setting Spray. This is going to help keep your makeup in place, but it's not like the Urban Decay like all-nighter. So it's kind of like a middle ground. It's perfect for if you want your makeup to last all day, but you don't need it to last 17 hours. I also like that the mist is pretty fine. It comes out evenly. You don't have to worry about it like squirting your face in like one section. Most of the time when I'm finished with my makeup, I have a very nice dewy finish because that's what I like. However, when I use a foundation that's a little bit more satin or matte because I'm testing it, I'll often use a dewy setting spray. And the one I reach for is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dewy Set. Now this is very dewy. If you do not like a dewy finish, do not use this. If you love a dewy finish, then you will love this. I really, really love this to kind of bring some life and some glow back to my face if it's too matte looking. My number one setting spray is really surprising because I have roasted this brand in the past, but it is the Pore Professional Super Setter Long Lasting Makeup Spray. I wouldn't say it's long lasting. I think it does a great job at making your makeup stay. What I love the most about it is that it has a nice even mist. You don't have to worry about getting too much on one side of your face. It is really easy to use and I highly recommend it. It's pretty affordable. This isn't going to make you look dewy. It's not going to make you look matte. It's just going to kind of like lock it in. There we go. We're going to wrap up this series here. Of course, I would love to know what products made your top 3 in every category. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, bye.